Hello everyone, you are watching a segment of the Countdown program from September 28, 2023, today is Thursday. See our entire program on the Patreon resource, and thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. I will talk about the themes of the postscript a little later, but now to the most important thing. It seems that soon the population of Russia will be divided into four categories: security officials, unescorted servants, prisoners and fighting meat. The psychopathic empire's seating reflex intensified. Impaling on a stake, a mop and a bottle is the main staple of cave traditions. Now they will jail you for literally everything. For illegal picking of mushrooms for 9 years, for fakes and discrediting the army, they're already in full swing, and now they're preparing to try also for damaging railway tracks in wartime. Miranovsky muskrats will soon introduce a bill to the State Duma that would toughen punishment for relevant crimes. A provision will be added to Article 267 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation, according to which persons who have committed crimes, on instructions or in the interests of a foreign state opposing Russia during martial law in wartime, in an armed conflict or during hostilities, are punishable by imprisonment for a term of from 12 to 20 years old. The cave expands prison possibilities. Sit I don't want to. Or you can sign a contract right in your cell and go into the trenches. Blew up sat down in the trenches. Romance. You can also approve the actions of some extremist and sit down too. State Duma deputies considered a bill on criminal liability for justification and propaganda of extremism at a plenary session today, September 28. The bill was submitted to the State Duma back in July of this year. It was initiated by United Russia deputies Pyotr Tolstoy, Anna Kuznetsova, Vasily Piskarev, Andrei Kartopolov and Ernest Valeyev. Parliamentarians proposed putting Russians in prison for up to 5 years for publicly justifying extremism or promoting it. Of course, the system that promotes Navalny immediately associated this bill with the name of its frontman. We draw attention to the fact that support for the activities of the journalist Sotnik, who was recognized as a terrorist in the cave, will now also be subject to a criminal article. This article is not about Navalny or Sotnik. It is about tightening the screws and further breakthrough of the cattle farm towards military totalitarianism. However, some political scientists are broadcasting that the system is allegedly preparing to crawl away from Ukraine. Andrei Piontkovsky published an article, Russia After Defeat Prologue, in which he predicts the forced withdrawal of the Russian Federation from the territory of Ukraine to the 1991 borders. Quote, "A team of like-minded people working to solve this fateful task has already formed at the top of Russian power. Thus, all the brilliant journalism of Prigozhin, who acted in coordination with them, was obviously aimed at preparing the population and, above all, its patriotic Z-segment for the idea of the inevitable defeat of the Russian Federation and a return to the 1991 borders. The top of the regime will have to act proactively. The first post-Putin government in Russia will be a government of outright scoundrels, absolute war criminals. The trigger for its formation could be the first psychologically significant major success of the Ukrainian armed forces, the liberation of Tokmak, Bakhmut. The Russian Himmlers will offer Ukraine an immediate ceasefire and negotiations on the organized withdrawal of Russian troops to the 1991 borders." End of quote. However, Piontkovsky's reasoning does not fit in with that Putin is not going to leave power, and in megacities, metro stations have been decided to be converted into bomb shelters in case of a nuclear war. The paradigm, a nuclear power cannot lose, comes into conflict with the desire of the system itself to survive through reformatting. In this sense, the increased media mandalization of Navalny is understandable, who was given the most severe possible punishment in the colonies. As we expected, Putin came into conflict with the system. Watch this and other stories in full on the Patreon resource. Become our patrons right now and look further in this program. President of Nagorno-Karabakh Samvel Shahramian signed a decree that the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic will cease to exist on January 1, 2024. Meanwhile, Azerbaijani security forces arrested the former Prime Minister of Nagorno-Karabakh, billionaire Ruben Vardanyan. The Kremlin is already groaning, anticipating the arrestee's revelation. The Ukrainian armed forces continue to develop a counteroffensive, especially in the Zaporizhzhia direction, and it seems that Putin's demand to stop the Ukrainian armed forces' advance before October 1 will not be fulfilled. Yesterday's ideologist Vladislav Surkov dreamed of the «Global South» and «Global North», which will be formed after the victory of the Cave in the war with Ukraine. Naryshkin again threatens with missiles, claiming that defeat is simply impossible, and a victorious arrival is inevitable. Putin held a meeting with Ramzan Kadyrov, who again fell into reality like a suddenly jumped up when. The meeting was probably held on the eve of some important decision. See all this in the postscript program. And that is all. View our full programs on the Patreon resource. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. Hugs to everyone. See you tomorrow on Friday Live. Glory to Ukraine.